Good evening. This is scripted, as most of the videos along these lines are. It just makes it easier for me. I know I could type it out on something, pages, whatever, and put it on the computer and then just be looking at the computer the whole time and reading it, but I like to write things out longhand. I'm not going to write it out, then type it in. I'm not going to go through all that. So let me just get started. I wanted to address in this video habits and discipline, and along those lines, perseverance. And I'm addressing those things because that's what I'm working on. I chose habits and discipline as the things most important for change and growth in me because I was concerned mostly with motivation for a long time, but slowly got it into my head that discipline was more important because many of the videos and the articles that I read or watched stated that, and I found it to be so through experience, motivation is haphazard and fleeting if you wait for it or even try to cultivate through changing your thoughts. Whereas, if you cultivate discipline, that is doing something regardless of how motivated you are, you'll develop motivation as those somethings that you're trying to get done, as those somethings you do become habits. When I speak of or even think of things like discipline, motivation, habits, perseverance, accountability, responsibility, all of these words are related and intertwined and overlapping to varying extents. But I've chosen discipline and habit forming as the things that seem both most beneficial as a starting point and easiest to facilitate. Any of the stuff involved in making the kind of changes I'm interested in making in my life are going to be hard over the medium term, but habits of discipline have turned out to be easier for me over the long term, and I know that needs explanation, so here goes. I found virtually anything new I want to do is easy enough for a few days, but almost nothing makes it past that. It either falls by the wayside completely or I end up doing it for far less than my original plan. But if I persevere, over time, I can make certain things stick and I can build on those. But there's always a gap between starting something and doing it regularly with me, and that's what I'm calling the midterm. Whatever the thing is that I'm trying to incorporate into my days or life, I start out doing it, then falter, then I either persevere over time and manage to make it a daily habit, or it falls away completely and may or may not become part of my life sometime in the future. I'm getting better at pursuing things more consistently, and if something is important enough, I can more and more find the time and energy to do those things regularly. And given all the things I want to improve, discipline, forming habits, having perseverance, carving out time, not getting distracted, all the things that need to be practiced that don't come naturally to me get easier to do the more I do them. It's like working out. Even as you go up in weight, even as it's as painful and hard to do as it was at the beginning, you become inured to the pain and more accepting of it. The hard things remain hard to do, but it's easier to do hard things because you become used to it. You get more comfortable with pushing yourself to do uncomfortable things. And as just two examples, I made a 3D spiral out of wood and metal wire, and it was based on an idea I had years ago. Once I finally started on the one I finally finished, it took a couple of months to do something I could have done in a few days, but I did it. I stressed over it and worried that it wasn't turning out well. and it was taking way too long, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of negative thoughts. All kinds of negative thoughts. I'm looking at it right now in the shop over there. But yeah, there was a lot of bad stuff going through my head, a lot of self doubt, a lot of everything. But I finished it, and I will link a video. I will link to a video I made of it. And after years of thinking about it, months of false starts, and months of sporadic work on the final prototype, I finished. And I'm doing that more often now. I have a list of hard to do things and I tackle it. Okay, I have a list of hard to do things and I tackle items on that list at random intervals, but more often all the time. One of the things was set up a Patreon page, and it wasn't that hard to do, but it was nigh on impossible to start. I had been thinking about that for the longest time, and I even had a Patreon. I had the page up, I had the tab up there with all the other tabs I consistently have on my computer. And I would go to it every so often and read a little bit and think about it, and the self-doubt, now's not a good time, whatever negative thoughts I had, I just was not doing it. Well, it wasn't that hard to do, but it was nigh on impossible to start. I finished in a couple of hours, and you'll find that link below. And the thing is, I have been on at least dozens, and by dozens I'm talking about dozens of different channels or people who make these kind of videos. So we're talking about hundreds of videos because they all make more than one. And I went over a lot of stuff for a long time before anything actually started to take hold. And I'm still basically just beginning, but I'm developing certain things and they're starting to work for me, and it's incremental and it's slow and it's painful, especially psychologically, because things are just not happening as fast as I want them to. But you'll find all kinds of videos on micro habits and starting out real small and building up. And one of the things I do, as a matter of fact, the script that I wrote out, a lot of it is on the back of these. I use these pages by Mel Robbins. But there's a little bit of space up here at the top, and one of the things I do is I write plus 1%. That's a big thing that one guy started. The idea, improve 1%. Well, actually, it was a coach for a British bicycle team that hadn't won in like years and years and years. Nobody even wanted them to be a sponsor of any of their products because they didn't want to look like they were selling, junk to losers. But his idea was just improve 1% every day, and the results are phenomenal over time. But this is one of the things. This is probably the thing I started with. I mean, there were all kinds of other ideas that I was looking into, things that I was trying. But this journaling page by Mel Robbins, and I will put a link to this down below. It is something I have done most consistently for as far back as I can remember. Once I've started on this journey. I've tried dozens of things. Only a few have really taken hold, but the habits and the discipline and the perseverance it takes to create both those things. I mean, you're not just going to, no matter how much you tell yourself before you go to bed at night, or how much you tell yourself when you wake up in the morning, that day you are not just going to be filled with oodles of discipline. But if you start with that idea, Nothing else is going right for me. There's all these different kind of things I want to do, or even if it's just one thing, lose weight, work out, talk to girls, whatever it happens to be. If you use the discipline as your starting point, and if you make the smallest, um, the most minimal thing you can do, if it's losing weight, today I'm just going to count calories and I'm going to get used to doing that. I've never had a problem with weight. I'm not bragging. It's just the way I'm built. But that's a big thing in a lot of the motivational videos. So I'm using that as an example. Start out with the easiest thing you can do. If it's working out, put on your gym clothes. If you're not going to do anything else that day towards that goal, put on your gym clothes and make it a habit. Every single day, at least I'm going to put on my gym clothes. Or I'm going to drive to the gym. Even if it means I drive to the gym, I sit in the parking lot, I don't want to do it, and I drive home. You keep doing that every day, sooner or later, you're going to get out of the car, go into the gym, and work out. I know this sounds lame to some who don't have the kind of struggles that I and others have had to deal with, but this is how I built habits. It is like, what is the least thing I can do? I'll tell you something that I started doing, and I'm kind of proud of myself for two reasons. There's big benefits to it, and it is just, I'm a freeze baby. Like I said about the weight thing, I'm 5'10", I'm like 145 pounds. I don't have any body fat, and I know because I was born and raised in Ohio, I don't like the cold. I've had to deal with a lot of it, but I just don't like it, and I absolutely hate cold showers. Well, I used to. I still don't like them, but I don't hate them because I had heard so many people talking about the benefits of taking cold showers. I do that every morning now. I look forward to it. I know it's going to suck. I know I'm not going to like the sensation of being under cold water, but I also know this. I like the fact that I'm doing something that's hard to do. I like the fact that I look forward to doing something that's hard to do. And I know once that's over, or even during, it's 10 times better than coffee. It wakes me up. I'm awake, I'm aware, I'm alert. That is the time of day when I can function the best. Within the first half hour or hour after that, I am just, okay, I'm ready. What's next? No matter how much the day may falter after that, when I do that thing, I'm up, I'm able, I'm functional. What is it I need to do? I can do it. I'm not afraid. It's huge. It's huge. Well, that I've got a whole morning routine now, and one of the things is the Mel Robbins sheet. I do the Wim Hof breathing, and a part of that is I read up a lot on the benefits, and I thought, you know what? This is a no-brainer. All you're doing is breathing. You have to do that anyways. Why not just do this every day? It doesn't take up hardly any time. It's about, well, it's less than 20 minutes. It's like between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on how fast you do it. But you don't have to do anything extra. All you're doing is breathing. Well, you hold your breath, and that's a bit of a challenge and a struggle. Just because I can't hold my breath as long as his timer is. It's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and a minute and a half. And it's after you've exhaled, which is, of course, harder than holding your breath after you've taken a lungful of air. But I do that. I do that every morning. I do that. I meditate. I do the ice. I do the Mel Robbins sheet. I answer 3 questions. What am I going to give up? and it's just some negative thing, being judgmental, forgiving somebody, whatever. What am I grateful for? And I have actually broken that down into three things. What am I grateful for about this day in nature? Something that, while we're all connected to everything, I consider that, outside of myself. Um, it's something that I'm not personally affecting. It's something I have no control over. So, what in nature am I grateful for? And it could be the sky that morning, a cool breeze, whatever. It doesn't matter. All I have to do is look around and, hey, the birds are singing. Whatever. What am I grateful for psychologically? Because I am changing, I am improving, and this is important. So I'm keeping track of this. It's an internal thing. It's nature. It's an internal thing, and then it's a material thing. What is something I own, something that I have that is making my life better, and it's not my bank account, or it's generally tools and resources to do things with. It's not like, oh, I own a yacht or a helicopter, or even my van. I don't own a yacht or a helicopter. I'm just, throwing out examples of shallow material stuff. I mean, sure, there's a lot of things you can do with a yacht and a helicopter, but I'm talking about tools, art material, whatever. The stuff that I like to play with. So yeah, I just wanted to do this video. I definitely wanted to make it specifically about habits and discipline because that's where I'm starting. Those I think are going to be the keys for all the other stuff. Even as I move beyond, I mean, there's discipline and habits are always going to be fundamentals. Even as I build on those and have maybe more sophisticated tools, I don't know. Maybe that's all I'll ever need. Maybe habits and discipline. But for example, James Clear, who is big on habit forming, uh, I believe it was James Clear, anyways, who said it's less about habits than it is about systems and processes. You'd have to watch one of his videos to understand that whole thing. But these people all start with the fundamental building blocks, whatever their method is for improvement, and then use that to basically to expound upon more sophisticated things that you can do once you got those building blocks down. So that's where I'm at. My building blocks right now are discipline. Seldom am I as motivated as I need to be to do something. Doing this video was a matter of discipline. Look, you've been wanting to do this video for a while. It's just setting up your laptop out here in the bay and talking. That's all it is. I mean, I hit a few keys, and then after I'm done talking here, I upload it to YouTube, and we're talking a half hour. How hard is this to do? You got the Patreon page down. Now put some content up so people see what you're about, and maybe they're interested enough, they'll say, hey, yeah, I want to listen to this guy, I'll support him. In any event, that's where I'm starting out. I will get into, and I've done it in previous videos already, but I'll go into it more in detail where I started. I am certainly not filling up my days with all the kinds of exciting things I want to be doing with my life, but I'm getting closer all the time. And it's a struggle, it's an uphill battle, but I know this. On my best days, when I'm doing a bunch of stuff, regardless of the discomfort or the challenge or the obstacles or anything else that I have to deal with, those days are much better than the days when I wasn't doing any of the things I wanted to do and nothing was getting done. So, I could sit around all day and do nothing, and I can right now afford it, luckily, but that's not the way I want to live my life. So I have to change. Change is hard. This is what I'm doing. Well, all right. I thank you for watching, and if you didn't watch, well then, what's wrong with you, man? Talk to you soon.